just a general letter about the budget and the increase and all the different things for the papers, so we can inform the public
Yep.
of
We'll draft something and send it.
all the good news that we have about the budget and what we did.
Send it to the members as a draft.
Thank you. Would that be good? Would you agree with that consensus, Jerry?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. That would be very good. Now, February vacation?
Yes, we did notify our parents who the principals did through Connect Ed that the committee will be discussing the findings and possibly taking action tonight and the February winter break for 2016. As we stated at our last meeting, our parents, 65% either agreed or strongly agreed with modifying the winter break in February, and that's kind of where we left it at our last meeting.
Right, and the majority seem to prefer having the week for students be Wednesday through Friday.
Yes.
And teachers as well. The teachers would have a PD on Tuesday
Right. And then
after
school-
President's
Makes
Day.
sense, yeah.
School would be
And then it
one
will
of
go
their
through,
two,
yeah.
hopefully three, if we get in the contract, 3 PD days. Yes.
So that was good to see a consensus
Yeah.
among parents and staff.
And you sent this out, then you notified them again when we voted probably tonight, so that was good. Give people plenty of time. So do I have a motion then?
Well, so that, removing February vacation is half of the equation. The other equation is what happens to April vacation. That was a question on if the February break were eliminated, when would you like to see spring break? And the majority, again, of teachers and parents said the last week of March. And then the number 2 preference was first week of April, and in last place was the third week of April. So do we want to discuss the placement of that week before we make a motion about February vacation or break or?
You, just as a thought, you could, because I have to bring a whole calendar to you,
Okay.
you could vote on just the first part,
The February?
the February piece.
Okay.
And then I can present a couple of options, what the calendar would look like,
For the,
for the 3 different
April.
options.
Okay.
This is what option 1 would look like, this is when you'd have to break, this would be option 2, this would be option 3, that's easy enough. Okay, or you can decide tonight, it's entirely up to you. That's easier for me, because then I just have to do one calendar.
I think I would prefer to have Ms. Polish here if there's a chance she can join us at the
Okay.
next
No
one.
problem.
Yeah,
that would be good.
so we're just gonna vote on the,
I'd recommend you just vote on the
February what?
alteration to the February vacation itself.
so I'll make a motion that we alter February vacation next year to be President's Day and the following Tuesday, with the school being regular session Wednesday through Friday of that week.
For students.
For students.
Second.
Any discussion? No? Nothing? Okay. All those in favor?
And we'll have, again, the calendar will be on our next.
Okay, thank you.
15, 16.
New business, discussion possible vote. Mrs. Herman?
I have a resolution, and you had a draft of it in your packet, but I have an updated version.
Thank you.
And I was contacted by members of the Coalition Against Gun Violence. They have reached out to school committees across the state. And there's a House bill and a Senate bill that have been proposed to essentially close a loophole in the law. Right now, individuals who have a concealed carry permit can carry firearms on school grounds, although they may not carry them in airports or courthouses or some other locations. And this legislation seeks to close that loophole and saying that these weapons may not be carried on school grounds either. And I believe you also all got in your packet the No Guns in Schools handout. That was sort of the overview. And the sentiment is that only law enforcement officers should be carrying weapons within school buildings.
Do I have any discussion, any motion or discussion?
This was endorsed by RIASC and I believe the Rhode Island School Superintendents Association as well, Mr. Rear?
Yeah, we took a position regarding the Sandy Hook situation. We needed to make every effort to reduce handguns being brought into school property whenever possible. We had one case last year where the chief informed me that someone had applied for a concealed to carry permit and that they would be going to school functions. And the chief said the way the law is written, it was
a loophole, as you said.
And that's the only, and I bring it up only because it's the only time in my 9 or 11 years of job that's been brought to our attention by the police department.
I support the resolution. I mean, it's probably the only thing I have to say about it.
Yeah, as I said, the Coalition Against Gun Violence has asked school committees to consider supporting this, and if we do, they would like us to send them 3 signed copies because they will go to the State House and present the copies themselves sort of en masse from all the participating school committees.
So I'll make a resolution, or a motion that we approve the resolution as submitted by Dr. Herman this evening.
Second. Any discussion?
I would just add that it says, the last paragraph, I believe, is important, that the Tiverton School Committee requests the General Assembly to support 2015 H5861 and 2015 S0743, so there are 2 corresponding bills, so that's what this resolution would support.
Thank you.
No discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you.
Okay, Elaine, I'll get you that address, okay?
And I'll sign them?
Yes.
Okay, the next item is the joint resolution between the school committee and the town council, and this is to bring the floor in Tiverton up to 40%. When we built our schools, we got 30, a little over 30, and then, as I said before, one night, I was watching the vote, and they said that some schools were getting 90 and 80, and that 30 was too low. So it's a wealth-based formula, and they wanted the floor to be 40. So a school was doing renovations and building, and they put them at 40. So I texted Jay right away and said, what about Tiverton? What about Tiverton? And of course, it was too late to put us in then. So every year since then, we've been going up there asking them to do this. And it would bring over $248,000 every year to the town for like 10 more years, so that would really be a help. It wouldn't hurt the state because it's a small amount, and there was no one else at that floor at the time that built. So Jay said that he thought it would be good if the town did one with the schools and we presented it together. It would be more powerful than if just the schools go up. So we're going to try that this year, so I'll let you know when the date is. But if we vote on this, I can sign this and we'll get it sent out. And I thank Mrs. Payroll for helping me and Nancy Mello for getting this done together, and Mr. Edwards. So that's all it is. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as written and submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Okay. The next thing is the school security. Dr. Larkin?
Right, so I just wanted to report back to the committee on a program I attended at Rhode Island Association of School Committees on March 14th that addressed school safety, and in particular a program that goes by the name of ALICE. It's an acronym that stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, Evacuate. And it was very informative and intriguing, and basically is trying to take some of the lessons learned from the West Virginia shootings, the Sandy Hook shootings, and other events of this nature that have certainly brought school security to sort of everyone's attention. I was wondering if that was something that we could potentially pursue or discuss with the school administrations and the police department, whether or not we would want to bring this to our town. It's very much a paradigm shift, I think, in that it, in a setting like that, when an event like that occurs, of course, there's very little you can do, or you can't really always be prepared or be prepared in the way you would like to for something like that. But it does, I think, the program help people start to think a little bit more flexibly about what to do in that type of a setting. Most of the violence occurs within the first 2 to 5 minutes, and so far the paradigm has been, shelter in place, lockdown, and kind of just stay there and hope that help comes on the way. But the point is that there will not necessarily be help in a timely fashion to sort of limit mortality and the violence. And it goes through these things about, sort of alerting people, what do you do to counter, what things do you have at your disposal potentially to counter an armed intruder, and what actions can you take, with the information that you have in the moment, in the immediate time. I just wanted to, I think it's something worth pursuing with the chief and with the
We've had some preliminary discussions about that, and we are in the process of, we have to get that together, whether or not to pursue it for training for next year, because it is a paradigm shift. There's more of a role placed on the role of teachers and students, age appropriate to be, again, as you mentioned, be more proactive. I'd like to talk to the chief again, but I would like him and Captain Jones maybe to explain it in greater detail. Before we pursue that.
Yeah, my district in Massachusetts has adopted it. Staff was trained last year. Students were trained the beginning of this year. I work at a junior high school. I've heard it was very well received at the high school level, and I can see that even at the junior high school, although our students are not physically as big. Basically, when you lock the door, then you move all the furniture against the door, and students find things they can throw, and you're trained, somebody comes in, how to take this person down as a group, because there are 30 of you, and even if they're students, you can do it. Throwing books, and climbing out the window. And as I said, for high school students, it's a second floor, and they rather go out the window. Like you said, we've seen it where the lives have been saved because students have left through the windows. I've never seen it at an elementary school level, and I find it hard to picture, quite frankly, because you can't have, at the high school level, if an 18-year-old tells you, I'm not staying in this room, I'm climbing out the window, because that's my decision, and under this ALICE, you let them go.
Yeah.
They've made their decision.
Yeah.
You don't,
And that's-
it's very different with K through 4.
The thing is it's empowering people to be creative, if that's the right word, in a setting of chaos.
Well,
And there is no
of course.
order, there is no
Yeah.
planning for chaos, because that's
That's
really
right.
what you're dealing with. And so, I think, again, it's empowering people to think about it beforehand, to think what they would do. Are there things that are simple that you can do to probably measurably increase the security of a given classroom, whether it be, getting there's a strap that just by example, one of the things they talked about was getting straps that you can use to put on the scissor opening of a door that will actually effectively lock it, even if there isn't a lock, or even if the lock is shot, you're not going to be able to get through that door anyway. So, as I said, it was extremely intriguing, enlightening, hopeful. Actually, is sort of one of the things that can keep me up at nights worrying about something like this.
That's true.
And it sounds like Smithfield was talking about hosting a training later this year. And, again, I think the first thing would be to engage our law enforcement, the school safety officer, sort of see what they know about and what
They're familiar with it.
Yeah, they are.
So the initial conversations we had was that they would be in favor of it. But because we would start planning now, if we were going to change our protocols, now would be the time that we'd start to do so. I'll call, if it's all right with the committee, I'll talk to the chief and Captain Jones about it, and, see if, they want to go that direction, and then ask them to come to one of our meetings.
That would be good.
Not too distant future, because I really think they need to explain to, and to our parents what,
You'd have to train and all that, yeah, for next year.
what can we expect?
Yeah.
Right.
As far as, from us, what do we have to do? They have been working with us to be more proactive in other areas, not so much in this kind of training, but in other areas like the bomb schemes and things like that,
Right.
things to look at.
It's a different way of looking at things,
Right.
which is good.
Right, and, I think it is important, or it sort of builds important partnerships, not just between law enforcement and the schools, but even community partners, neighborhood, potentially, I suppose, even private homes. But they talked about businesses, about agreements they've had with their bus companies about evacuation and then reunification. And they said it was really an enlightening and, again, hopeful type of program that may make a big difference someday.
And I tell you, it's much easier to get middle school students involved in solving a problem than in getting them to sit still and absolutely silent for lockdown.
That's true.
Right.
So in that way, it really plays to your strengths. You've got a room full of high-energy kids who want to do things, and if you tell them to move furniture, boy, is that furniture moved fast.
They love it, right? That's great. That's wonderful. I'm glad you put that on here. I missed that session because I was on St. Patrick's Day duty driving my van in circles. Was that Uma? What's the name of that car thing where you drive it?
Uber.
That was me. Okay.
You work for Uber now?
Yes. Okay, so we'll do that, Mr. Riddick. You'll talk to the chief. Okay, thank you. Discussion possible vote on a homeschool request.
Recommending the committee approve the homeschooling request that we have in packet.
Okay.
All right, I'll make the motion to approve the homeschooling request.
Second.
Any questions? No? All those in favor?
Can I ask a general question just about homeschooling? Does a student who's homeschooled, do they receive a diploma from Tiverton?
No.
So they just get a certificate from the program that they're using?
If that's what they use.
Okay.
And if they just do it themselves, they just say go homeschool. They provide us the grades, the attendance sheets, and that's really all that's required of them.
And is that something that's generally accepted for college applications or job, or?
I would
sort of
assume that,
high school?
I'd have to ask my wife, she's probably more tuned in, this is a guidance person, but I would assume they must, but I don't know how competitive you are, versus, someone that has an actual diploma from high school. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure how they weigh them in the admissions offices.
And then they have the opportunities to come do things at school too, which is good. And we've expanded that through the years also, what they could come in and join in on, which I love, because I want everyone to be here. Okay, reports and announcements?
Did you vote?
Oh, all those in favor, sorry. Reports and announcements, anything? No? Principals? Nothing?
Quiet evening.
Just park testing, we're doing park this week, so.
Yeah, today was day 3 of
Day
park
3.
testing, and I think the adults were, in preparation, perhaps more anxious than the students. The students who are testing across all the schools, doing fine.
And Project Lead the Way's on the way? We're going, developing?
Meeting with Mr. Fazette and Mrs. Larson, I believe, we're going to try to schedule something for next week.
Oh, good, that's great, thank you, thank you. Okay,
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to return to executive session to discuss superintendent's evaluation, SS 42-46-5A1.
Second.
all those in favor?
Correct.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.